So I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, how did you come up with the idea for the Trauma Informed Academy? What made you do it? Well, math. Math is what made me do it. Math and necessity. When the pandemic hit, my job of traveling 41 weeks a year to teach trauma informed care kind of came to a screeching halt like everybody else's did. And I was pretty tired anyway. And I thought, I don't know, I just kept hearing all the talk of all the clinical process. And even though trauma informed care talks about being collaborative, which is like this, so much of what I heard was still like this, still power over me. Once in a while, people get here in a real position, probably ought to be about like this because there may be three things that you can't be collaborative about with somebody. But I never heard anybody really get to this. And I thought, oh, what's rubbing me the wrong way? Well, so I decided to do what people have been telling me to do and put all the stuff I've been teaching for years that was my stuff into an online format so that people could get to it easier. But I thought I got to do better than that. And so I began to look around because I'm an educator. And I realized as I did my research that 24 million people received prescriptions for sertraline in 2018. 24 million. And all the research points to the fact that mild to moderate depression can be mitigated with exercise and meaningful relationships. And if we assume that meaningful relationships are therapeutic, maybe counseling is needed for those half of those 24 million people, that's 12 million people that really would benefit from counseling. And again, the research is pretty clear that you need about 3 appointments a month for it to really do much good and get you where you want to go, assuming the clinician has the skills, the fits right, and all that other good stuff. So I'm thinking 12 million people, 3 appointments a month, that's 36 million appointments a month. 36 million appointments a month that need to be delivered for one and only one psychotropic drug. Now, it's easy to say, well, what's wrong with medication? Well, there's nothing wrong with medication. It can be very, very helpful and very valuable. However, medication is also somewhat colonizing. You got to buy it. That means you got to have money. You're always at the effect and at the whim of the manufacturer and the pricing strategies. Maybe the raw materials are scarce, like they have been for the medication for ADHD and lithium, which is now competition for lithium is shared with electric vehicle motors and lithium batteries. And then on top of that, if you take medication, somebody has to manage it. There's another layer of cost because you've got to be able to pay for that. And if you don't like the effects it has, because you have a diagnosis, you may not be taken seriously. So I'm not against medication. I just think it's problematic, especially if there are other things that can reduce the need for it. So 36 million appointments a month for therapy. Now, don't get me wrong. You can go out on the internet. You can find advertisements for online therapies and online counselors and this, and that, and the other. People just working their brains out, delivering services online, and as well as for telehealth, as well as in person if you can get an appointment. But, let's talk about what it takes to become a clinician. It takes up to 10 years in terms of training and internships and supervision to become a clinician. At that point, you can see maybe 20 people a week if you want to keep your sanity and stay in the job a while. Oh, and the Department of Labor says the average time in that field is 6.9 years. So you've got a perfect storm. You've got 36 million people that need appointments 3 times a month for 3 times a month to serve 12 million people. You've got people who take 10 years to develop into fully blown clinicians who can see 20 people a week. Now, you can do the rest of the math. It will never work. It will never work. We are creating demand faster than we can supply services. Given that, how might we maybe slow demand and certainly increase supply? That's the question I set out to answer as I created the Trauma Informed Academy.